What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Promj Money channel. Back again with another video. You know I got this content for you guys, and today we're actually going to be speaking about the Satrix Inclusion and Diversity ETF. So I actually got an email from Sean from Easy Equities. I'm sure if you're a customer, you also get those emails. And he was basically speaking about the listing of a new ETF on their platform, which is the Satrix Inclusion and Diversity ETF. Now, if you've watched any of my videos before, I forget which video it was, but there was one where I mentioned how I'm a bit curious or wary about the relationship between Easy Equities and Satrix. I mean, whenever you go onto the platform and you try to just look at the range of ETFs that they have, you'll see like a stack of Satrix ETFs first before you go into anything else. And if you think about it alphabetically, Satrix actually isn't the first thing that you should be looking at. I'd imagine something like One Invest would be there. Maybe even Core Shares ranks a bit higher in terms of alphabet. So the fact that they have Satrix as the first thing there kind of, tells me that Satrix has a very good kickback plan or policy when it comes to, Easy Equities. And Easy Equities is obviously obliging. Don't quote me on those things. And, you could maybe try to argue that no, maybe Satrix has the best and so on and so forth, but I mean, if you look at the different ETFs that they have on their platform, specifically if you're going to search, say for example, the S&P 500, if you look at an S&P 500 ETF from Satrix, you look at one from I think Core Shares, and you can throw Insignia there, you'll see that there really isn't much of a difference between any of the three different ETFs. But what you will find is that Easy Equities will make sure that you see the Satrix one first before you see any of the other ones. Take of that what you will, but the way I see it, these two companies clearly have something going on. So that's not really what I wanted to speak about today. I guess I'm overly cynical of these things, having been involved in Forex before and seeing things for what they truly are. You tend to take a second to just step back and look at things before you actually go into them, because sometimes you do need to do a bit of reading between the lines to see what's going on. But yeah, if you happen to put your money into Satrix, I mean, just know Easy Equities is really punting it. I mean, even if you go to the top 10 shares, or top 10 rather ETFs, you'll see that 9 of the 10 companies is Satrix. Signia, well done, they managed to get one in there. But yeah, it's really peculiar if you ask me. But hey, we're actually going to chat today about their inclusion and diversity ETF, and I was really intrigued by it because I'm doing some research now for a series that I actually want to start beginning of the year next year, that goes along with Frank. And I've been looking at different ETFs, trying to find what I think is the best one to sort of use that gives you a little bit of everything and so on and so forth. So I was really intrigued by this inclusion and diversity ETF, and naturally when I have questions, I go to YouTube, just like I'm sure most of you have done, is that you'll get the answers there somewhere. And obviously Easy Equities had a webinar with Satrix, and I think it's worth you giving a watch. You don't need to watch the full thing, just watch maybe like the first, I think, about 15 minutes where they speak to the quantitative analyst. That's the important part. The questions pretty useless. It is just random questions, but essentially what it is that there's an index that I think they call the IND, or Inclusion and Diversity. And basically what they do is that they take all of the companies on the JSE, right? They filter out, first of all, the small cap companies. Well, they don't even say small cap, they say small companies. So they filter out small companies, they filter out illiquid companies. So if your company is obviously got a certain market cap, or they're making a certain amount, I don't know how they determine that. And if your company is not liquid, so something like a Sendus that has hectic debt, take it out immediately. Then from there, they kind of score it on 4 metrics, which is I think diversity is the first one. So I think they look at the composition of staff, composition of management, the composition of shareholders, board of directors. They want to see if they have people from previously disadvantaged backgrounds, if they want to see people, if they have people if they have women who are in higher management positions, and so on and so forth. I think that's the crux of their diversity. The inclusion portion, I think he actually went on to say 50% of that score has to do with your BEE score, but then there's other things that they look at. They also look at, policies surrounding people who have HIV/AIDS. I think he did say that they look at people with disabilities. I'm not sure if he said that they include, LGBT into that inclusion category, but that's, the one. So it's diversity first, inclusion. Third one is people development. So that basically just, is how do they help to develop their employees and their staff. I think they look at, different employee programs and so on and so forth. Things that they do to basically just uplift everyone in the company who works there. That's another metric that they score. And then the last one is the company's image when it comes to the media and so on and so forth. So, if there's good things that are being said about them or bad things, I think actually they all start off on a score of 100, but like the more bad things that are said about you in the media, that are said about your company, how you treat your employees and so on and so forth, then your score starts to sort of come down from there. So those are pretty much the 4 metrics that they use to get you the companies, and I think from that they come up with a top whatever, and they pick the top 30 of those companies, and basically they then pull out those companies and they throw them into this ETF. Then there's other conditions that they've thrown in, like only 10% of a company can only hold about 10% in the ETF, so you won't have more than 10% of a single company. What else did they say? Yeah, there's other things. Like I said, go watch the video if you're truly interested. But I think for me, what I found quite interesting is that they're asking you to basically invest in companies because they are inclusive and diverse. Not to disregard inclusivity and diversity, not to disregard how companies treat people. I mean, a lot of us are invested in mining companies, and we know the poor conditions under which these mining companies treat people or treat miners. And if really you treated the miners as they should be being treated, it cuts down on profits. It cuts down on the bottom line that you're trying to achieve. And inclusion and diversity is important. I think it is the right thing to do. I know that there's a big emphasis currently on ESG investing, so that's environmental, social, and corporate governance. Investing in green companies and so on and so forth. And if you were to do that, I'm sure you would make some money, but you wouldn't make as much money as you will with other companies. I mean, look at Sasol, for example. Sasol is one of the better performing things in the JSE, and Sasol, I think at one point they had said it's the most heavily or the biggest polluter in the entire world, or something to that extent. So you look at different things like that, and you need to sit down and ask yourself, ultimately, what are you trying to achieve? Are you trying to affect change through the way that you invest? Because if you're able to do that and you're able to make money, then God has truly blessed you. But for the rest of us who are here to make money, it doesn't really make sense for me. If I had kids, I would say my kids can't be eating inclusion and diversity. My kids need to eat food. And how do you get that food? Through money. How do you make money? You invest in companies that are doing well. Unfortunately, part of what most companies do to do well is also exploit people. So you also kind of need to go in with your own conscience and sit and decide. But personally for me, I've maybe not got a problem, but I don't think it's a particularly attractive ETF. I wouldn't say a lot of people should be in it, as a big part of their portfolio. But I will say, if you've maybe got 10,000 Rand you need to invest, you want to give a young 500 Rand to make sure everything is balanced in the world. By all means, go to this ETF. But other than that, it's a no from me, dog. It is a big, big no from me. And I mean, if you really want to get into it, if you look at their top 10, one of the companies that they have there in their top 10 is Foschini, and if we go over Foschini's charts, you'll see that in the past year, actually, they have done quite well from a year-to-date basis. I think that's more to do with them recovering from, the pandemic rather than them actually doing well. Because if you look at it over the last 3 years, they pretty much move sideways. They are actually down versus the last 3 years, but it's a sideways company, you know, and you can't even say you'll get a good dividend from them because their dividend is not great either. So really, there's no investment or portfolio manager who has Foschini, you know, as a big portion of what they own. You really are not going to make a lot of money from Foschini, but Foschini is inclusive. Foschini, I guess, you know, do have a good mix of people working there. The policies are probably great and so on and so forth. I think Woolworths is also there, but I think Woolworths is because it's their image. Woolworths has to have a squeaky clean good image, so that's, you know, part of the reason why they're there, and that's part of their business. But does Woolworths really make the money that you would expect it to make? Do you get the returns that you're looking for, you know, from Woolworths versus, you know, a mining company? I don't know. I really don't know. You'll need to sit down and decide for yourself. But all I'm saying is that not everything that glitters is gold. Not everything that shines, you know, is a good thing. Personally, for me, this is one that I am going to keep tracking and I'm going to keep looking at it, but I don't see it doing well. You know, I know, you know, the quantitative analyst, I think his name is Siabulela. He actually, you know, showed a chart of their back testing versus the JSE All Share Index, which it was beating the All Share Index, which is great, but there are many things that you can find out there that beats the All Share Index. So I don't know. This one, personally, for me, it's not one that I would get into. I think the idea is good, and there are some people who are trying to be socially relevant who this is made for. I think they are the target market. But those of us who are trying to make money, those of us who are trying to get ahead in this thing, I don't think it's for you. I'm in this game to make money. I'm not in this game to make or affect change. I do want to make and affect change in my own little way, but yeah, not using my money, or not using my money in this way. Yeah, that is that from me. So if you're going to get into the Satrix Inclusion and Diversity ETF and you think it's a good thing, maybe get down in the comments, let us know why you think this is a good thing, why you think it's worth getting involved in. But personally, for me, I just feel like Satrix is trying to create a different way to make more money or to sell us more products and so on and so forth, which, yeah, unfortunately it's capitalism and that's what we're out to do. But really, save your money, save your time, you know, wait for the new series that's coming out where I'll show you what I think is probably the best ETF that you can get from a lot of these South African companies. It might even end up being Satrix themselves because maybe I'm captured too. But yeah, it's been your boy Pro MG Money. Yeah, it's been a good one. Don't forget the 50k challenge. It is still out there. I'm actually going to release a video quite soon, just explaining it in a bit more detail. And yeah, hope you've had a good one, and I'll see you guys next week. Peace.